Good morning everyone. I'm Chandrakala. So in last class we were discussing about potential energy and we have discussed about gravitational potential energy. And today we will start our class from elastic potential energy. We have seen that elastic potential energy is associated with change in shape and size. That means if the force is applied on a body and on a non-rigid body, and due to that force if deformation of body take place, that means if its size and shape has been changed, then the amount of work that has been done in deforming of the body or changing its shape and size is stored in the form of potential energy. And as soon as the external force is removed, then due to elasticity the body gets its original position back. That means this actually depends on elasticity, because elasticity is the characteristic property of the material. So it depends on nature of material, how much elastic it is. But here we have considered that the things or the materials are having a good elasticity. That means when the force will be applied on a non-rigid body, then it can get deformed, and the amount of work done in deformation is stored in the body in the form of potential energy. And the same potential energy, when the external force is removed, is responsible to bring it back to the original position. So here in the definition is the energy potential, elastic potential energy is the energy possessed by any body due to deformation. Possessed by a body due to deformation, that means change in its shape and size. Okay. Now our next topic is examples we have already seen. That means a stretched or compressed spring or a stretched rubber band. These all are the examples of elastic potential energy. Now once again we will discuss gravitational potential energy at some height. Gravitational potential energy at a height, let it be h. Okay, this topic actually we have seen in work done. Just one revision, we have seen that if a body is placed on the surface of the earth and if we have to raise it in the upward direction, or if we want to take it to a height on the above the surface of the earth, then we will have to apply a force in upward direction, and that minimum required force must be equal to mg, that is weight of the body. And since we are applying force in upward direction and the body is also moving in upward direction, so the displacement is also in upward direction, and let it be h. Okay, so in this condition the amount of work done is equal to force into displacement. Force is mg, so it is equal to mg, and displacement is h, so that is equal to h. This we have already seen. In last class we have seen that if we are raising any body from surface of the earth to some height, then that amount of work done is stored in the body in the form of potential energy. That means our same work done is actually potential energy. Therefore potential energy at some height h from earth's surface is equal to mg h. This is our formula for height h above the earth's surface. Now, it's possible that suppose the body was initially not on the ground. It was at point A, and this point A was at a height of h1 from the earth's surface, and now we have taken the body from A to B, not from ground to B but only from A to B, and the point B is at height h2 from the ground. So here we know that here the potential energy, body was initially placed here, so here it was already having a potential energy at A, and how much it is? mg into h, and here the h is h1. The height of point A from the ground is h1, so this potential energy is equal to here mg h1. Similarly, when we will raise the body up to B, then it will have potential energy, or its potential, it will gain some potential energy, and that potential energy at B is equal to mg h2. So this is the potential energy at point A, and this is the potential energy at point B. Then what is change in the potential energy? or increase in the potential energy. Change is represented by delta. So change in potential energy will be equal to, since it is at height h1 and it is at height h2. Look at the formula. Here we have three things: mass, acceleration due to gravity, and height. Basically, mass and acceleration due to gravity are considered constant. That means the potential energy ultimately depends on height. If height from Earth's surface will increase, then the potential energy will also increase. And when height from Earth's surface will decrease, then the potential energy will also decrease. So obviously at this point, the height is less, so the amount of potential energy is less. And here the potential energy is more. So we will use it mg common, h2 minus h1. This is change in the potential energy. Okay, increase in the potential energy, because in this case the potential energy is increasing. Similarly, suppose that initially the body was at point B at a height h1 from Earth's surface, and now it is moving in the downward direction, and after some time it has reached to A. Okay, and this point is at a height h2. In this condition here, this time at point A, the potential energy is equal to mgh2, and here the potential energy at point B is equal to mgh1. And now also here the potential energy is more and here the potential energy is less. That means the potential energy is decreasing because we are moving in the downward direction and the height is decreasing. So here change in the potential energy or decrease in the potential energy is equal to mg h1 minus h2. That means we have to always subtract higher minus lower value. So this we may use in the numericals, but basically we have to remember this. If we know this one, then we can write down these two also. In this case, we have considered that at ground the potential energy is 0 because height is 0. Even though it's just for easy calculation, otherwise the surface of the earth cannot be considered uniform. But here, just for easy calculation, we have considered that on the surface of the earth the potential energy is 0, and as we will move in the upward direction, the h will increase and hence the potential energy will also increase. So this formula we have to remember for gravitational potential energy. Now our next topic is kinetic energy, and we have a basic idea about kinetic energy. That means the kinetic energy is the energy possessed by a body due to its motion. That means we have already discussed that in kinetic energy we will discuss rest and motion. That means the energy possessed by a body due to its motion is known as kinetic energy. Okay, because we know that for kinetic energy the formula is half mv square, and we know that mass of a body remains constant up to 10 raised to power 6 meter per second. That means kinetic energy is ultimately depending on velocity. That means if the body will have kinetic energy, it will move with a velocity v, and moving means motion. That means kinetic energy is always associated with motion. And here we will have to remember one more point, that when the body is at some height from Earth's surface, it has potential energy, and when it fall down in the backward or the downward direction, then that same potential energy has been converted into kinetic energy. We cannot use potential energy in any other form than kinetic energy. If we want to use the potential energy, first of all we will have to convert that potential energy into kinetic energy, and later the kinetic energy can be transformed in any form of energy that we will see later. So this is the definition of the kinetic energy, and this is the formula, and we have to derive this formula mathematically. But before that we will see one more definition of kinetic energy, and that is kinetic energy of a body in motion. Kinetic energy of a body in motion is equal to amount of work which is done to bring it rest, which is done to bring it to rest. Okay, that means if a body is moving, that means it is having kinetic energy, and because of that kinetic energy only the body is moving. So if the body is moving, suppose this is one object, it is moving in this direction with velocity v. This is the object of mass m, it is moving in this direction with a velocity v. Then how much work we will have to do in opposite direction to this to take it to rest? If the body is moving and if we have to bring it to rest, then we will have to apply a force in opposite direction, and this force will retard the motion of the body. So, and finally it will come to rest. And if you are applying the force and displacement is there, that means some amount of work has been done. So actually the kinetic energy is the amount of work done to bring the body from motion to rest. And this definition itself we will use in our derivation. So in short form we can write the kinetic energy is the amount of work done to bring a body from motion to rest. Motion to rest. And now this only we will use to derive the derivation of the kinetic energy. So our next topic is expression for kinetic energy. Suppose an object of mass m is moving in this direction with velocity v, and now we will apply a force in opposite direction to bring it back to the rest. Okay, so mass of the object is m and velocity of the object, initially the object is moving with velocity v, and after applying the force it will come to rest, and its final velocity will become 0. Final velocity v is equal to 0. Okay, now force which we are applying in this direction, this force is actually equal to m into a, that is the acceleration. Actually this is not acceleration, this is retardation, because we are applying the force in opposite direction to the motion. So here the amount of force is this, and for calculating our kinetic energy is equal to amount of work done. So amount of work done is equal to F into S. Now we have F but we do not have S, so we have to calculate S, and for calculating S we will use our one of the equation of motion, that is equal to v square is equal to u square plus 2as. We know that u is the initial velocity, and here initially the object is moving with a velocity v. So here initial velocity is v, and final velocity after applying the force it will come to rest. So final velocity is equal to 0. See, basically initial velocity is denoted by u and final velocity is denoted by v. But here since we are habitual of kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, so we are taking initial velocity v. If you want to take it u, you can take, and then your formula will be kinetic energy is equal to half mu square. So as you wish you can use here. So final velocity is 0, because after applying the force the body has come to rest, so the final velocity is 0. And the initial velocity, initially the body was moving with a velocity of v, so it is v square. This is minus because of this a is acceleration, and here we are using retardation, so it is minus a. Because of that it will be v square is equal to minus 2as. Now we know that v square is equal to 2as, and s will be equal to v square upon 2a. Now we have the value of f and we have value of s also. If we will put both these values in our formula for work done, then kinetic energy is equal to amount of work done is equal to F into S is equal to F is equal to ma. So F is equal to ma and S is equal to v square upon 2a. Both a will cancel out each other, so the kinetic energy is equal to 1 by 2 mv square. So that is equal to 1 by 2 mv square. This is our derivation for kinetic energy. So what we have done, we have considered initially an object of mass m is moving with a velocity v, and we have applied an opposite force to take it to rest, and that amount of force is equal to m into a. So kinetic energy is equal to amount of work done to bring the body from motion to rest, and amount of work done is equal to F into S. So F here we are having, that is equal to ma, but S we don't know, and to calculate S we have used a second equation of motion, that is v square is equal to u square plus 2as. Then from here we calculated value of s, and finally we derived the formula for kinetic energy, that is equal to half mv square. Our next topic is relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. See, about linear momentum we have studied in class 9th. Right now we have derived formula for kinetic energy. So we know that kinetic energy is equal to half mv square, and we know that linear momentum, which is denoted by p, is the product of mass and velocity. So from here, if we will calculate value of velocity, that is equal to p upon m. Putting the value of velocity in the formula for kinetic energy, if this is equation 1, then putting the value of v in equation 1, what we get? We get kinetic energy is equal to half m, as it is v square. This is v and this is v square, so it will be p upon m whole square, that is equal to half m p square upon m square. 1 m cancel out this one, and this is equal to half p square upon m, that is equal to kinetic energy, or in other words, kinetic energy is equal to p square upon 2m. So now we are having formula kinetic energy is equal to p square upon 2m, and from the same formula we can calculate the value of linear momentum also, that is p square is equal to 2m into kinetic energy. Therefore linear momentum p is equal to under root 2m into kinetic energy. So now we have derived two formulas, one for kinetic energy and one for linear momentum. This is relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. This is formula for kinetic energy, this is for linear momentum. From linear momentum we have calculated value of v, and then we kept this value for kinetic energy, and then we derived relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. And from the same concept we can also derive formula for linear momentum. Now we have two special cases based on these two formulas, that is special cases. Okay, so our first case is, suppose there are two bodies with different masses. We have a body A with mass small m and a body B with mass capital M, and capital M is greater than small m. That means we have a lighter body of mass m and a heavier body of mass capital M. And if the kinetic energy or linear momentum of the body, we have two cases, we will see first this one. If the linear momentum of both the bodies is constant, then the kinetic energy of heavier body will be less than the lighter one, or you can say the kinetic energy of A will be more than kinetic energy of B. Okay, why is it so? Because you see here, kinetic energy depends on two things. One is linear momentum and one is mass. So here you are saying that linear momentum is constant. That means it cannot change. That means ultimately the kinetic energy depends on mass, and that is also inversely. From formula it is clear that kinetic energy is inversely proportional to mass. So the if the mass is less, then the kinetic energy will be more. So the kinetic energy of lighter mass will be more than kinetic energy of heavier mass. Similarly, we will see the second case, that is just opposite to this. A lighter body of mass small m and a heavier body of mass capital M, and again capital M is greater than small m. This time if the kinetic energy of both the bodies is constant, then the linear momentum of body B will be more than linear momentum of body A. This time if the kinetic energy of both the bodies are constant, then the linear momentum of heavier body will be more than lighter body. And why is it so? See from here, the linear momentum again depends on two things. One is kinetic energy and one is mass. Here you are saying that kinetic energy is constant. That means you are not changing kinetic energy. That means ultimately the linear momentum depends on mass, and that is also directly. That means linear momentum is directly proportional to root m. If mass of the body will be more, then the linear momentum will be more. If mass of the body will be less, then the linear momentum will be less. So these are two special cases based on relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. And the examples of kinetic energy, there are a lot of examples. That means free fall of a body, or moving of a car, or moving of a bus, or a stone thrown towards a glass window and it break it down, and so many examples. That means wherever there is motion, the body is able to move because it is having kinetic energy. So in next class we will discuss our work energy theorem. Thank you.